And I'll just cut just a little guideline right there. You see that? Hey cookers, here's a secret to getting the best possible fried chicken. A lot of it has to do with the way you cut up your bird. A lot of people think spatchcocking, removing that backbone is the key, but no. We're going to cut right through that backbone. And when that backbone stays with the chicken, it helps seal in the juices of the chicken when it's being fried. And also, you get that bone-in flavor that you won't get when you spatchcock your chicken. So hang around. I'm going to show you how to do this. Also, I'll give you a few cooking tips at the end. I'll also show you easy way to find that joint between the leg and the thigh and the wing and the breast. We're cooking with Jill. Welcome to my kitchen. So I was raised on a farm in Florida, a hobby farm, and we raised our own chickens. Of course, my mom, taught me how to cut up a chicken from there. What you do is you put your chicken breast side down, and this way you expose this spine right along the back here. What I prefer to do is get a good grip on my bird with my wing and leg like this. You see that? I've got a good grip on this bird. And then I can see right here where this knife is going to go right down the spine. And I'll just cut just a little guideline right there. You see that? So it's just gone through the skin. Now, you want to slice pretty good. You need a really, really, really sharp knife to do this. But you don't want to press too hard or you're going to go through the spine right down through the breast. We want to cut the breastbone separately, but sometimes it happens. So let me give this a shot. I usually start at the neck. So I'll just, you can hear that there. Boom, it just went through. And I just work my way down, pressing pretty good. Boom. Okay, I split it all the way down through the tail. Now, if we open this up, look at that. So I did cut a little bit through thick, but I also hit that breastbone just about dead center. You see that there? And that's where we want to go through the breastbone, is right there, and split that evenly. So once again, I got a good hold of this chicken, and I'm just going to push, and it just went right through that breastbone. Just nice and smooth. Look at that, right through the middle of that breastbone. You can see it on both sides. Now, if you don't go straight through the middle of that breastbone, don't worry about it. I usually miss it about 50% of the time myself. So let me set half this chicken apart. And what I want to do now is separate the quarters from each other. The wing and the breast away from the thigh and the leg. For me, a trick to doing that is right up in here. You see this little area right here? It's real thin. There's no meat here. This is skin and membrane right there. See that membrane right there? And skin. You can see here, this is your breast meat, and down here is your thigh meat. So let's just take this knife and just go right through there. You see how that separated that? Now we've got this natural little thing here. You can see now, I'm going to separate this a little more. You can see now how here's the breast, here's the thigh meat, and here's the breast meat. I just want to follow that line right there. Let me just trim some more of that skin. See how that's pulling apart like that? We've got our natural little line right here. Just boom. Right there you got backbone, and then you've got backbone here, separated quarters here. So let's take this wing and separate it from the breast. Now you have a couple of options when you're doing this. You could just cut the wing off the breast. That's what most people do. But you also have a choice of taking a little bit of that breast meat with the wing to give the wing a little bit meatier bite to it. Now you can use a chef's knife to do this, but I'm also going to use a boning knife so you can get in there a little better. If you don't have a boning knife, it's no big deal. Use your chef's knife. Now, you can feel right in here, right there, you can feel that knuckle between the breastbone and the wing. And if you pull this back, you can actually see a fat line right through there. See that little bit of fat right there? Okay. So I'm just going to take this, and look, that knife just went right through there. There was no resistance whatsoever. I got a little bit of that breast meat there to go with that wing. So now my breast and wing are separated. Now we got a little bit of extra skin here. I'm just going to trim that off. I'm going to put this over here. There we go. There's a beautiful piece of breast. I'm going to put that over here. Likewise, with the leg and the thigh, you can feel there is a little knuckle right here. See, I got that bone, I got that knife down in there. Of course, I've got it dull side up. But you also can see a little fat line right there. You see that fat line? That's what we're going to follow. Let me turn this over. Looky there. Beautiful clean cut between the leg and the thigh. Now, one thing I also do with my thighs is I just pop that joint out, that hip joint out. When you do that, this thigh is going to fry up a lot quicker and more even, because right down in there is the most difficult part to get up the temperature of the whole chicken. So that is one half of the bird. Now let me get the other half of the bird. So come here, you dead bird. Likewise, I'm going to use this big knife to find that spot. I'm coming in here. I see that membrane right there. I'm just going to slice right through it. And then I'm coming in here and I'm doing the same thing with the skin. You want to be careful because you could take away a lot of this skin from the breast. So I just follow it right along the line of that thigh there. There we go. You see how that just naturally falls apart? Right there it is. And I just give it a little push. It cut right down through there. Nice and simple. Likewise, we're going to do the same thing here with the wing. You can see there's a little fat line right there. Also, you can feel that knuckle. See, that blade is right into that knuckle. And I am just going to cut right through there. There's a little bit of that breast meat that goes with that wing. There we go. You can see how that breastbone was cut cleanly in half there. And then we're going to do the same thing with the thigh. There's that little fat line right there. I can feel that knuckle with my thumb. I can feel that knuckle with my knife. I'm going to just flip that knife over. And it just goes right through there. Nice and smooth. Just like that. Now, when we moved away from the farm, my mom still bought whole chickens because it's cheaper usually than buying cut up chickens. And well, it's pretty easy to cut up. So she did that. It saved money. I've got a little video out there doing the same thing with a half a pork loin, getting 5 mils out of a pork loin. You'll see a little thing up at the top corner to click on that. So that's another little money saving tip that I've got out there for you. You should make sure your oil in your skillet is nice and hot before you put your chicken in it. It should be about 350 degrees. On my stove, that's about 4. Make sure it's nice and evenly hot before you put your chicken in it. Bread your chicken. I like to double bread my chicken. And when you put it in the skillet, put it in bone side down. And that bone side down gets all these bones cooking faster. And that's going to make your chicken juicier and more flavorful. I did one of my bite-sized cook videos on frying chicken. So I hope you learned something here. Y'all have fun.